People think that entrepreneurship is all about the business.
That's not true. Absolutely not true. Once you know yourself, who you are, what do you want, what you already know within yourself, you will definitely be successful. That I guarantee you.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Personal Development for Entrepreneurs. I'm Ikram, together with Dr. Venga, my mentor and the person who's going to be sharing the second part of our work from home series. So last month, we spoke about work from home and the challenges people feel working from home and some of the issues that arise from working from home. Today, we're going to look at more solutions. How do you solve the work from home problems that arise? And I think it's going to be an interesting episode. It's another 40 minutes of personal development for entrepreneurs. Welcome, everyone. Welcome, Dr. Venga.
Thank you very much, Ikram. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, those of you who are live on the show with us. Well, yes, good evening, and yes, Ikram, very good. Thank you for making this happen again.
No problem.
The key to this.
Yes. So, Dr. Venga, let's just recap some of the challenges that people feel. You've categorized it into three categories. Would you like to go into that with regards to work from home?
Yes, I would. First of all, you already, when we did the last session, we talked about the need and the current condition in Malaysia that we are facing. That what we have always done is we duplicate from somebody else, meaning that we take what the Western concept of working from home, which is very easy for them, and then try to just copy it and paste it on our culture, our way of life, and none of this works. And we know that. That's what we explained the last time. Okay.
Absolutely. Yes.
Okay. The thing is this, and please, you cannot. I must say to all of you, please remember, I am not saying what I'm going to say is not directed at we don't have it. Like as a Malaysian, as an Asian, we don't have it. We have it, but our understanding and the action we take in it, or the way we execute it in our life, is very different from the Western way of doing things. A very good example of that is, I can get back to Afghanistan and tell you, or refer you to Vietnam last time when the Americans were there, that it just doesn't apply. It's out. So I'm just want you to understand, I'm looking at it basically from an Asian perspective, and more so as a Malaysian, as someone who have lived in this part of the world for 82 years and have to learn and change it and adapt it. The three things that are very important in working from home to implement it. Number one, you must be aware of your discipline. So the first word is discipline. This discipline will make it happen. And that discipline is different from the discipline that we speak of in the Western country. In the Eastern country, like in Malaysia as an example, there are many things that you cannot be, I have set this rule, you'll have to follow. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, cannot. The discipline is changeable. It doesn't mean that I have to do something at this time and it must happen. No, that's the first word, discipline. Secondly, what is very easy for people, especially at home, where having a small space to work at home is so easy in the Western country, whether it is Italy or whether it is Spain or whether it is the northern country, the Nordic country, like as in Sweden, Denmark, or Norway and Finland, or for the United States. It's very different. In our case of being organized, is a very delicate human interaction. We have to be very careful. Our houses are close to one another. Your neighbor's house and your house is very close to another. Now, those of you who live in apartments will understand this. Okay, so different type of organizing, organized person, as someone living in an apartment and another one living in a bungalow or a terrace house or something. Okay? That's a second thing. Okay, because it is a physical thing, and because it is a physical thing, it impact your mental. Okay, so that's a second thing. The third one is becoming aware. That awareness is the key. You must become aware in the sense that, hey, what am I doing now? And how does what I'm going to say or do impact others? In that way, you raise your awareness by becoming conscious. And when you become conscious of what you are doing, the way you deliver it, the way you say it will be different. If you're not aware, it'll come up very rough and very unorganized, and you will react. What I want you to do in terms of consciousness is, you do not react, but actually you take it down and put it in such a way. You respond to the environment. You respond to people's requests instead of reacting. In that awareness also, you become aware, and when you become aware, you will find a way. And when you find a way, your communication will become better at explaining something. And finally, you'll be able to manage, I'm using the word manage, your emotion. So the three things, let me repeat, okay? Discipline, being organized, awareness. These three things are very essential when you are working from home. And this, my dear friend, no matter what book you read, you will see that everything is related to the Western way of life. That life, you see, like, for instance, we always tell ourselves, religious people talk about it. I'm sure you don't believe it, but religious people, oh, when you die, you will go to heaven. You understand? You will say, oh, when I die, I will go to heaven. You don't know where you're going, but you think you're going to heaven. But right now, people on earth say, heaven is to go and live in America, which you have also discovered is not heaven anymore. You have discovered in the last 2 years, hey, America is not heaven. Okay? So let me not go into that. But it's just that things are different. In fact, heaven is the place that you live in. Your own home is your heaven. It's how you organize it. So the three things: being disciplined, being organized, and being aware. If you can get these three things right, you will have a wonderful work from home and be very happy. And by the way, ladies and gentlemen, you and I know this, okay? Singapore has put it out first. Other countries are slowly adapting it. I hear a lot of articles that I'm reading now from China. In China, they are saying we should adopt this attitude of endemic, which Singapore is largely promoting. It takes another one or two other large countries like China to go out and say it openly, and everybody will accept it. And then this will be we gotta learn to live with the virus. That's it. And we should not panic that people are getting infected and people are dying. And I'm going to say this on camera, and you can go and look at the statistics of Malaysian statistics of the number of people who died from influenza and pneumonia in our country, and you will be surprised at the number. Then you can compare that to the COVID death. Have some conclusion yourself. Don't just listen to what is coming out of the social media, the news media. Don't just take that for granted. Make your own conclusion, which is what I'm trying to say, that although work from home is quite easy and very easy for the Western world, it is not that easy for Asians, and especially people who live with families, older people in the house. It's it is a very difficult adjustment. Remember also, because when you worked before in office, you only went home around about 6 or 7 o'clock. And the wake hours are no more there. So got 2-3 hours to tolerate. It's okay. Right now, we're talking about 16 hours you're spending at home. So become aware of your own discipline, become aware of your own awareness, and become conscious of what you're doing. This is my first recommendation, that you must try to find a way to use it in your work from home from now on. Because it's not going to go away. It's not going to finish in December or 2020. Don't you agree with me, Ikram?
Yes, absolutely. I think the looking at it as an endemic is more practical because it doesn't seem to have an end in the near future. Absolutely.
Because you and I know this, Ikram, just talking like that, virus has been living with us. I don't know for how many human life, I've been carrying it. We have adapted that virus. At first, probably there was a fight between the virus and our body, and eventually it got used to it. Now we are here. So now we are having a new type of virus, which we have labeled it. We have labeled it, called it by name, and we're trying to find answer to what we do not know. Instead of saying, I don't know, we're trying to find an answer. And we hope that science will give us an answer. Actually, the answer is within us. Okay, anyway.
Absolutely. So the three broad criteria for working at home is to be disciplined, is to be organized, and to be very, very aware.
Yes.
Yeah. Of not just yourself, but your surroundings at home.
Yes. Everything around you.
Okay. All right. So let's now go into the specific but broad problems that people or issues that people face while working from home. The first is most people don't have a space or a spare room in their home,
Yes.
Dr. Venga.
Yes.
So how do you get around this when you're working from home? Because you need that space, right, to work from.
That's right. Ikram, sometime in the 82 years of my life, starting off early part, not even a room to sleep, veranda, side of the shop, okay? And then as I grew up, okay, I didn't have a permanent place and all that, okay? I took it for granted. I made up my mind, the first place that I will live in, I will have a proper bedroom for myself.
Mm-hmm.
And then everything became very automatic. Wherever I lived, there was always a place to sleep. There's a place for discussion. There's a meeting room. There is a place to relax. I've always had that, So I took that for granted. So in a way, that type of lifestyle in living in a home with spaces became very natural to me. And I could not understand that when people say, hey, Venga, can I come to your house and use your space to do some work? And I used to think, why would you want to come to my house? And I thought maybe, I don't know, for whatever reason, so I allowed it. I used to allow that. It's only now I begin to recognize that people do not have space to do things for themselves, like sitting quietly in a place where nobody disturbs you. I don't think people have that kind of space.
Yep.
And I notice the recent condominiums and all that you have, there's a two room, rarely one room for yourself and another spare room and a kind of a lounge or a living, what do you call it, a living room, right?
Living area, yep.
Living area and a kitchen which is by the side of the living area. No? Then they have one children. when they have one child, husband and wife working, they got no space already. Under this pandemic, they have called me and spoken to me. How do we arrange this? How do we do? We have one child. The child also needs a space. So we given the child the room. Husband and wife sharing. What do we do? I said, okay, very good. For the moment, since you have no visitors or not, make a space, a small space in the living room. Make sure that you have a space for your spouse to work on or do something of their own, and you too have a thing. Okay. In order to make it a bit friendly, don't leave it open so you can look at your wife and you look at her. No, no, no. Put a division, because distraction. So you must create the space. Now, I don't expect you to sell your apartment and go and buy a bigger one. You can't afford it now. So within what you have, can I do that? Yes. And I said to them, hey, alternatively, one of you have a small, our room space is so small, okay? One of you have one space there, another one at the dining room or where the kitchen is, there's always be a little space. Create another space there. But make sure that visual contact is prevented, because that will distract you. Okay. This is the first thing, to create a space within what you have. Don't go and take up a magazine and look at how I can buy things from IKEA to do it. No, no, no. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying whatever you have, try to manage it in a way that you can afford it. At this moment in time, unnecessary expenditures is not a good idea. Yep. So the space is the key. That space is not only a mental division, but also an emotional division. Also, at the same time, when you want to talk to your spouse, okay, you can just move out and have a chat with her. One of my nephews that went through, and he explained a very nice story to me. I work, I'm in the computer, as you know, I have to support a big, large teams of people. I'm responsible, I'm head of it. He said, whenever I do work and I get bored, he says, I got to work. And that my wife, hey, let's have some a tea together or a coffee together. And she too works for a corporate company, and she's also busy doing it. But they don't have any children. That's the advantage. But when you have a child, the child also needs you, Lana. So perhaps a space for the child outside of the room, where the child can both look at both the parents, and make some noise or something like that to attract attention, which the child does. Okay? You see what I'm saying, Ikram?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
All these are important things that one must look at when working from home.
Absolutely. Which leads me to the second question. All right, so you've created the space, but then home can be very distracting in terms of noises, sound. You've got children running around. The TV could be turned on, or if you've got many people in the house, it's not exactly the most conducive place for online meetings, or sometimes it may not look so professional. How do people overcome this?
Ikram, this reminds me of a simple thing, Ikram, which happened in Singapore. If you spit, you get a fine. It started in Singapore.
Yes, yeah.
And the man who brought me up got into trouble. I had to go and save him. I know about it and pay the fine. I know this. Then when I first arrived in China some long time ago, okay, long time ago, the first time when foreigners were allowed to come in, I through my own company that I worked with before, I had to go there for a certain reason. And I saw that actually people were just spitting all over the place, at that time. It is a habit, so it's a simple habit. Then I saw in China, they implemented the law that you cannot spit, and if you spit, they will come and give you a summon and all that. I saw the implementation in a terrifically very hard way. Then people got used to the habit. Okay, now I'm saying that to you so that you can pin it on. We need a law to discipline us. That's my message. No?
Uh-huh. Okay.
You must be wondering, why am I saying all that? Law. We don't know how to do it by ourselves. And many countries in Asia have followed that by law. If you speak, you get a fine. Okay? Like throwing a paper. Okay? So in this thing about working in a home, there must be certain etiquette. An etiquette of to speak. Because we as Asian, we like to talk loud. No? Have you been to a home, Ikram? A home in which 5, 6 people are talking at the same time and they understand one another. Have you been there?
Yes. Very funny.
I cannot stand there for even 1 minute. Because why? There are 6, 7 messages coming. I have to literally get out of the space. I can't. I wonder how people can coexist in an environment. So I have to adapt it. Adapt it. And it's another skill that you got to deliver. So etiquette, especially if you have children, you can't discipline a children and say, don't make noise now. You can't. You also got to find a way to make sure that the child does not make noise unnecessarily. How do you do that? From time to time, after working for 20 minutes or so, get up, go and touch the baby or give her a new toy or something like that. No? That the child knows that you are still caring for the child. That's why it's making the noise. Now, this is a way, and you know, when you talk also, you must tone down. Like if your volume was on a scale of 10, you were at 5, drop it down to 3. No? I mean, you can always adjust your own volume. Am I saying something that cannot be done?
It can be done.
Okay, so that's one of the things. Now, also, you know, in some places, you go to some home, the music is like as if it's a nightclub. Have you been there? Especially when you go to barber shop.
Yes,
Indian barber shop. Indian barber shop. I wonder sometimes whether the music is for the barber or the customer. The customer wouldn't understand what the barber shop is, but it's very noisy, okay? Okay, I bring a plug. I used to bring a plug. Nowadays, I do go to barber. That's it. So the music should be actually very, very light. That you don't hear it. It is there, but you don't even hear it, to bring it down to that kind of volume. This is a very important part because the environment is set for you to be active for not long period of time, maybe 40 minutes, maybe an hour and a half, something like that. So this ability is something that you have to start to create that environment and have a word with your spouse and see, hey, how is it possible that we can work this out? No?
Yeah. So, you know, sort of implementing work from home etiquette at, in the house and communicating with family members becomes very important.
Yes. You know, when you sit down and explain to people, they will understand. They will. Have you gone to people's home and the television is very loud?
Yes. Yes, I
and
have.
people are still talking?
Yep.
And telling the story of what's happening?
Yep.
I am amazed at the ability. But imagine you worked in a quiet place. You have to do some work. Under that circumstances, you cannot work.
No, it becomes very difficult.
Distracted totally. Like the handphone is a distraction.
Correct.
Like that, okay? So again, Lana, what is simple for the Western world is not so simple for us, no? The mother must understand, the auntie must understand, the father must understand, the elder sister must understand, our own mother, parents, people. We don't live alone, we live with a family. A normal Asian family live with a family. The mother, father is there. Even if you go into, if they give you a room by yourself, after some time, they come and open the door by themselves, even without knocking. Because it's your right to come into your room. So that's the environment. Huh?
Yep.
You understand? Huh?
Yes. And when you're talking about, you know, taking breaks to play with your child or to, you know, to prevent the kids from getting edgy, it reminds me of your methodology for productivity, which is to work always in 20-minute blocks,
Yes.
right? So maybe you could explain to us, because I feel it's so important when you're working at home and you're alone, or even with just your spouse, right? You don't have, we're social animals, we need that social setting, right? So without taking these 20-minute breaks to go and socialize and interact, just to reset your or I should say refresh yourself, I think it's going to affect productivity. Can you tell us a little bit about this 20-minute work?
Yes, I can. Yes, I can. See, to understand that, the first thing is we all have 16 hours of wake time. We call it a wake time. The other 8 hours being to sleep and all that. Okay. In this 16 hours, okay, in all my work, I've collected data and I've proven beyond any reasonable doubt whether any category of people, you cannot be 100%. You cannot use 100% of your energy in that 16 hours for more than 4 hours. Maximum. It doesn't mean from 8 o'clock to 12 o'clock. No. Maybe a small little space there, maybe 20 minutes here, 10 minutes there, 15 minutes there. In total, in one day of 16 hours, you can give your output, your 100% output, only for 4 hours. The other balance, so 16 hours, 4, 4, 4. 4 hours, 4 hours, 4, isn't it?
Yes.
4 times 4 is 16, correct?
Correct.
So in 4 hours, you will be 100%. The next 4 hours, you only will produce 50% of your energy that's required. The third one will be about 30%, and the last one will be 20%. Now, what I did was, in order to spread it along, so I said to myself, hey, what is the best a human being can put his best effort? And I did a program in Bernama for 2 years on this subject alone. Every week, twice, talking about 20 minutes concept. Meaning in 1 hour, take 20 minutes, give your very best, 100%, give it. Use every energy that you can do for 20 minutes. And then the next 20 minutes, do 50%. So you can actually do some little bit of light work, which is not taxing on you. Then the next 20 minutes, do very low things, such as a telephone call or answering an email, or maybe flipping through a note or an email, lighter work. And then the next hour, again, 20 minutes. And then the next 20 minutes, 50%. And the next 20 minutes, 20%. So that's how in 1 hour, you can get 20 minutes of your best available energy, concentration, and get it done. I find people have improved that, that is 20 minutes, they do extremely well. The next 20 minutes, they do very light work. And then the third 20 minutes, they get back to 100. What's your experience, Ikram?
I find that method works for me. So it's 20 minutes and then a 20-minute break usually, and then 20 minutes back to 100% again.
Okay. There you are. So you have yourself experienced that, right?
Yep.
And you can talk about it. So that's why when I designed the system, my V planner, I put from 6 o'clock in the morning to 6 o'clock in the evening, 20 minutes break. All the lines are very clear. 20 minutes, 20 minutes, 20 minutes, all the way until 6 o'clock in the evening. Then after that, it's 30 minutes, 30 minutes, 30 minutes. And the reason is at home, then you're in a relaxed environment. So you can achieve to do two things for 30 minutes. What will normally take you 20 minutes, this will take you 30 minutes to do one thing. So I did it like that until about 10 o'clock at night. So it's a way of putting down what you need to do and do it well, so that at the end of the day, you feel that you have been very productive, that you have done your very best. And this is something that the system that I designed helps you to do that.
Absolutely, it does. And so it sounds counterproductive to take a 20-minute break in that hour, like to work 20 minutes, and then have a break. But actually your productivity increases a lot. Although it sounds like, no, I'm going to be wasting time. It helps you focus more, right? And that I think is so important when you're working from home, because you don't get that social break, at least in that hour, every hour, a 20-minute social break. Yeah, things can get very unproductive over time.
Yes. Let me say this to you, Ikram. In a study we did in Jakarta, long time ago, on a factory line, okay? And there we found out the factory people, Indonesians, factory line workers. If we give them every hour, factory workers are just doing things, every hour we give them a 15 minutes break. 45 minutes, they do work, 15 minutes, let the machine run, go out, walk around, do something else and come back. Their productivity increased immediately, Ikram. Within the first week, it went up. From what they were producing, they could produce a 50% more. When this continued the second week, they found a way to be 100% more productive.
Fantastic.
This is the study we did it for more than 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how I slowly developed the 20 minutes thing and all that. Okay?
Yeah.
For people who are higher level and all that. So it's not some.
From my own experience, it's one of the best ways to actually be working. So moving on, okay, so we've looked at space, we've looked at the environment, the home environment. We've talked about taking breaks, basically social breaks, so that you've got that social contact while you're working from home and you don't feel alone. The other major problem, and I see this very often when we're having Zoom meetings, online meetings, is internet connection. Many people actually have poor Wi-Fi and they're not aware of this. I think like you said earlier, your consciousness needs to be up. So people need to be very conscious about their Wi-Fi. If you need a better router, then you need a better router. Yes. You may need to position yourself closer to the Wi-Fi in your house. You should have at minimum a broadband connection and shouldn't be relying on data connection. Right? What do you think, Dr. Venga? I mean, the worst thing to have when you're having an online meeting is, to have disruptions, and that affects productivity a lot, right?
Ikram, you are the one who opened my mind and made me understand about Wi-Fi when the pandemic started in 2020. Remember, you used to observe that I was lagging. You used the word lagging in the computer. Remember that?
Yeah. Yep.
And you said, Venga, maybe it's your system, something is wrong.
Yes.
So then I asked you, can you get somebody to help me? And you send me a person. And that, telecoms could not solve my problem. They could not tell me a logical answer to my problem. And I was a nuisance. I call them every week. Until this friend you sent, it's true. And then until this friend you sent, yep. He sat down and explained to me. He said, yes. He said, uncle, yes, you get 500, which they promised you. And he showed me through his computer by plugging his computer wire into my modem. It showed 500. But he immediately took his laptop and came to my system, my Surface, and he plugged in. It went down to about 80 or 90. Then he said, you see, uncle, the modem sends a signal out. And your router, that I begin to understand him much better. He's a damn good guy. The router is the one that picks it up and sends it to the computer. But your computer also must be good enough to receive those. And then he gave me a solution, which is change to a better router or get an intermediate device, which he was the one who fixed it. And called Ruckus, Ruckus.
Ruckus, yeah.
Because the moment he fixed it, it's 2 years already, Ikram, I got no issue.
I've never seen you lag again. Your
Exactly.
connection has been fabulous. Fantastic.
It's amazing. It's a simple answer and you can solve it. I've solved it. So I always, when people go back, I give them his number for them to call them and talk to him and see what he can do. No? But
Yep.
but yes, Ikram, if you have not told me, I wouldn't have done it. Yes, absolutely very important. It's not the data that you should have, but because a better router to capture the signal so that your computer can receive the signal. Am I saying it correctly?
Yes, you are.
And something else, for those of you who are using very games and fast speed and all that, this is the key to your issue.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. So, but in my case, I'm telling you, no problem. I can talk to as far as the US on this modem, no issue at all. And sometime I get into there are 500 people participating. 500 people participating, and I'm one of them. I got no issue. I see others not getting out and getting in, and also I am always there. No issue.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it is. You must become aware of
Yeah.
this.
I think many people may look at it as to invest in the right equipment to get Wi-Fi. It's expensive. They feel discouraged because of the price. But when you actually factor in the amount of time lost in communication, in downtime, and all that, the price you have to pay for good equipment is actually worth it.
Yes.
There is ROI on it.
Yes, correct, absolutely. And I don't know, if you take, say, 24 months, which I've used now, and divided by the cost I paid for it, it's peanuts, man. It's hardly, say, 40 ringgit.
Yeah.
A month. So why not? But look at the convenience, the easiness in which we talk, and there's no lagging.
Yeah. Yeah. Makes a lot of difference.
Absolutely. And Ikram, sometimes, as you know very well, 10 people meet me. They talk to me. I can communicate with them easily, and they can communicate with me easily. No issue at all. So you must examine what you have.
Yes.
And try to improve it. But you said it rightly. Go and look at your router. That's a key to that, isn't it?
Correct.
The router provided by the supplier is not very good.
Yeah. So, Dr. Venga, we have less than 5 minutes more. Let's another aspect of this whole thing. I mean, it may not be directly correlated to work from home, but exercise. How important is that for your productivity and your ability to work from home?
Very good, Ikram. Very good question. During the pandemic, this is what I do. I not talk, I do. Every day without fail, I walk 5 kilometers on my treadmill every single day, Ikram. Even the doctors who see me, they tell me, Venga, you have not gone up in weight. I said, no, I'm always at 79. I said, how come? He said, I'm very careful what I eat, and every day I must exercise. If I don't exercise, I wouldn't be this active talking to you, Ikram, today or tonight.
Absolutely.
So I must exercise every day. Now, some people tell me, hey, Venga, the government says SOP, this and that, you can't walk. Fine, I can accept it. But as of September, they allow you to walk in the park, okay?
Yep.
Oh, okay, they will allow you to walk in the park. But I tell people this, hey, walk around your house. I don't have a bungalow house. Okay, walk around your block, 20 minutes, 20 minutes. Exercise is the key to your mental health. It is the key to handling the pandemic. It is the key to your own understanding that you are thinking of foolish things, And this the key to managing how your brain is jumping from one thing to another, because you leave it space, You think of a small thing, you forget about it, it'll come back. And this is because you are not managing your mind very well, or your brain very well. It's like you trying to drive your car and your steering wheels, your steering wheel is doing it, and both your hands are in your pocket. Would you drive a car with your hand in your pocket?
No.
Why not?
It's going to crash. For sure.
Exactly. That's the same. We are not. You see, this is this part my brain?
Yes.
Is it mine, right?
Yep.
You have a brain, I have a brain, right? I must manage this brain, boss.
Correct.
I must learn it now.
Yeah.
I must learn it. Okay. You're not going to buy a book and read it and get it up, but you have to learn to manage this. Okay. And it's not difficult. That's why it is so important when I designed the system, the V planner, was taking all this into account so that one can manage, first of all, manage his mind, and therefore can manage himself, and so on and so forth. But it is a very good question that you're asking. Exercise is the key. Second to exercise, Ikram, if I may take another few more minutes, is very important. Two things more. One is social break. You must have some kind of a break when you're working. Otherwise, you will also feel very agitated. You must take a break. Like I told you, son, your child is in the hall, your wife is on one side, you're on one side. The child is looking at you, paying attention to you and the mother, and sometimes make noise. You go there, a little break from work and touching the child and talking to the child. All that is what we call social behavior and breaks that you take, and also sharing our feeling. Yeah, sharing it. Also, the discipline of making sure that you are truly focused on the time that is available. Yep. Not just let it overflow, Ikram.
Yep.
We'll end up biting our own tails.
Yes, yes, absolutely. So to recap what we've spoken today, there's three broad categories. One is with regards to being prepared for working from home. The first is to be disciplined.
That's right.
And in that discipline, we've covered subsections along the way, but to have that discipline, the second is to be very organized. Yes. So in organization, meaning if you've got for productivity, 20-minute work, 20-minute break, 20-minute work, something like that, but to have an organization, to have a method, a system that is very organized in working. The third is to be very aware emotionally about your environment, about the people around you. These three things are key, right? And then we looked at the issues that many people face, which is the lack of space and how to create spaces. The fact that the home environment can be very distracting, and to implement discipline again. So, work from home etiquette with family members, make sure there's no loud talking, music, or distractions while you're working. We've looked at taking social breaks, that social contact is so important. We looked at poor Wi-Fi issues, invest in good equipment, in proper Wi-Fi, because it is the ROI is there. It's most of us are discouraged by the price it takes to set up good equipment, but it pays off for itself. Then you've covered very aptly to share your feelings. Again, the emotional aspect of things. Don't keep things to yourself. Talk to friends, talk to your family members, talk to your spouse, and exercise. The key to working from home and having it free, to be mentally free, is exercise. Absolutely. Right? Is there anything else you'd like to say before we wrap up?
Yes, Ikram. In my entire life, being already 82 years old, I have learned so much about my own self during this pandemic year. 2020 and 2021 is the year in which I begin to learn about my own self and how to fit myself in to this world, which is so pandemic. Everything they do.
Yeah. All right. Thank you very much for joining us in this episode of Personal Development for Entrepreneurs. We hope that was helpful. Work from home is the whole pandemic, like Dr. Venga mentioned earlier, is going to be endemic. So it's something that we're going to have to live with, and work from home might be the new norm. So it's best we learn to adapt to this new way of working. Our next episode of Personal Development for Entrepreneurs is happening on October 6th. As usual, it's always the first Wednesday of the month, and it's at 8 p.m. Stay tuned. We'll have something very exciting for you. Good night.
Good night.